winemakers can add to their wines copper sulfate, aluminosilicates, ammonium phosphate, mega purple. What is mega purple? Why should I drink mega purple without even knowing that I'm drinking it? Eric, such a pleasure having you here. Our viewers and newsletter subscribers have been hearing your name through my stories, and they've been asking to meet you. So welcome.
Good to see you as always, Will. Hi, everybody.
So everyone, this is famous Dr. Eric Wood, a naturopathic expert, the doctor who probably saved my life, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. But if he didn't save my life, he for sure saved some of my organs, liver, kidneys, and not because of alcohol necessarily, fatty liver. For all the garbage that I was eating without knowing. For the last 3 years now, you've become our chief medical officer at our health-related companies. So I'm sure everyone wants to hear what you have to say about health and how your advice goes against the great majority of medical advice, and how health problems, chronic disease, and others can be improved upon with natural methods and not necessarily through prescription drugs and the like.
Yeah, I mean, so much can be helped if we have knowledge, Will, right? And so much of what I do with patients and just in terms of general outreach is education, right? Because we don't learn how to take care of our bodies. We don't learn it in school. We don't learn it from our parents because generally they don't know. And a lot of the old traditional ways that often people did to kind of support health have died out or have been forgotten. And then the traditional medical paradigm is all about symptom fixing and focus, right? But it's not very often getting underneath the symptom and what's actually driving the symptom expression, right? So that's where I do the work is kind of doing investigative and detective work to see what's underlying the symptoms. Because it's just like with your car dashboard. You have lights and you have sounds and things that come on when there's a problem. Your body has symptoms. So if you're getting, stomach pain or whatever, you got to investigate it and not just suppress it.
Because of our past conversations at our other health-related businesses, as an example, our weight loss app, we tell our customers that there are many ways, there are specific things that they need to do to lose weight. Among them, they need to be very mindful of what they eat and drink. And then because of this, they keep asking us, okay, so recommend me the very best olive oil or recommend me the very best, right? And so every now and then we reach out to you, ask for the very best brand at any one product category. And you always have your favorites for everything except wine. And when we ask you, Eric, which wine we can recommend that has no sugar, no chemicals added, no all the things that you advise, you don't have a wine brand that you can recommend. And so after several years of frustration as consumers, we realized that this was a business opportunity. And so we created the world's healthiest wine based on your recommendations. And so here we are. And so what's your first take about what's wrong with alcoholic drinks in general and wine in particular when it comes to a healthy product?
I've felt for quite some time that wines have been given a free pass way too much, without kind of a careful look at what's in them and what they're about. And I have been in conflict with a lot of the traditional advice often given because of some of the stuff that I know about them. So the health purported properties of wines typically revolve around the antioxidant and polyphenol content that is in them, which is primarily from the fruits that they're sourced from, right? So there can very well be some health promoting properties to them, but what about all the other stuff that those of us in the know about them that isn't so health promoting? So, wines have contamination issues, they can have spoilage issues. There's a lot of things that consumers don't hear a lot about because manufacturers aren't required to disclose them on wines. And that also applies in other foods in some instances. If it's part of the manufacturing process of the particular item, they don't have to disclose it according to federal law. And that unfortunately means stuff can be hidden in it and really detract from the health properties that sometimes people are drinking it for.
Before we started recording, you were mentioning mycotoxins, heavy metals, ammonium, candida. What should we know about those, and what else am I missing?
Yeah, so those are all unfortunately common noxious toxicants, really, in a lot of cases that are in a lot of wines. The way wines are often made, it can facilitate mold growth in the barrels and storage and whatnot. Mold doesn't need a lot to live. It needs essentially moisture and an organic material to feed on. And so things in nature, of course, there are mold spores blowing around. You source the grapes, you put them in a fermented, closed environment where there's not a lot of air circulation. If you've got mold spores in there and not the right sort of setup, you can very much grow mold, especially things like penicillium and aspergillus. And then you end up getting all these what we call mold poisons or mycotoxins residues in the wines, which can be really, really deleterious to people's health. I see a lot of people with mold toxicity in practice and can cause a huge number of issues. So that's just one thing. That's the mold. If it's non-organic, you can pretty much guarantee there's all kinds of pesticide residues, oftentimes heavy metals. And even with some organic wines, you're going to get trace residues because it blows from another field nearby or it's in the water supply, right? So it's really hard to get clean materials nowadays and keep your food products clean. And wine, unfortunately, is not an exception to this. So you're dealing and contending with many potential contaminants.
Another thing that shocked me is that the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, or the American government in general, doesn't require wine producers to list their ingredients in the label. For every other product, you have to list every ingredient. For alcohol, you don't. And winemakers are allowed to add 76 different additives during the winemaking process to improve color, taste, shelf life, etc.
Mm-hmm.
What about they improve their business and perhaps they don't care about improving their customers' health?
Yeah, sadly it becomes about sales, right? And we can say this about so many aspects of food and agriculture. It's about sales, and the health part of that takes the back seat. And then, all the consequences can happen from that, right? So one of the things I've taught students for years is remember that your bottom line of health is not going to very often be their bottom line, your food and producer, manufacturer goods. That's not their top concern. So you have to look at it through the lens of, is this really what I want? Is it really going to, be healthy for me? Is it going to support my efforts in all these other ways, or no? And unfortunately, with wines for way, way, way too long, there hasn't been transparency in the manufacturing processes and whatnot. And again, if it's not part of the original source materials like grapes, they don't have to disclose the additives in the manufacturing process. Same goes for ice cream, by the way. So, it does happen in quite a few of these, sub industries within the food industry, sadly, because it's kind of a loophole, essentially.
I've read these names before because for me it's so shocking. I'll read them again for our viewers awareness. These are some of the 3 or 4 of the additives that are allowed that I have no idea what they are, but they sound horrible to me. Winemakers can add to their wines copper sulfate, aluminosilicates, ammonium phosphate, mega purple. What is mega purple? Why should I drink mega purple without even knowing that I'm drinking it?
Makes the color prettier, right? So, one I've had the saying for years, kind of to draw an analogy that, you walk through a cosmetics department in a department store, and I tell my students, remember that poison can be pretty, right? So you make a lovely colored looking wine, looks really appetizing, whatnot, but you don't know, for instance, as you pointed out, that part of why it looks so good is they added mega purple to it, right? Other things keep it preserved longer. So you've got all these preservatives in it, but a lot of people react to the preservatives, clinically. So we see, one of the big reasons why some people can't tolerate wines is it's not the actual wine or the alcohol, it's the preservatives like sulfites and some of the other content you mentioned. They're noxious chemicals. So
in our case, with Purest Vines, our wine has no sugar, no additives, no chemical additives of any type, no mycotoxins, no microplastics, no sulfites, which are typically added to extend the shelf life of the wine, and no nothing, absolutely natural. And then it's organic, kosher, vegan, keto friendly, paleo friendly, and we made sure to check every one of your check boxes.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Well, and it seems that your message, well, through us, but it's your message, has been resonating with our viewers because they seem extremely interested in our offering and to get their hands around the world's healthiest wine. So thank you very much for making the world just a little better and safer and healthier.
Yeah, well, it's part of my mission, and to be clear, I'm not anti-wine. In fact, when you look at some of the interesting research out there, like the journalist Dan Buettner has profiled, a lot of the longest lived societies in the world consume wine. But there's some distinctions around that in that they're typically homemade without all these additives from local organic gardens and vineyards, right? So they're getting the stuff that actually is, when we look at mechanism, they're getting the stuff that actually should be healthy. So, that's our goal here, is to give people the good of it and get to enjoy the taste and flavor without all these other hidden things that are harming us in so many ways that people don't even realize.
Absolutely. Well, from what I've learned from you, I still mention to our viewers that the healthiest drink is water. It's not wine. So, but if they drink wine in moderation, perhaps 1 glass per day or about that, or even less, then it's not the healthiest, but it's okay. And if they are going to drink alcohol, then we are the healthiest in that category. And if anyone wants to reach out to you for a consultation, may I list your website in the comments and here in the video?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Eric, it's you've literally improved my life, and it's been such an honor to have become your friend and your business partner. So thank you very much for your time and for all the knowledge that you share with the world.
Well, thank you so much, Will. It's again part of my mission. I'm glad that I've been able to impact your life in such a positive way, and we're trying to do that on a much bigger scale now here too. So I hope this really resonates with people, and you know how to reach us for more information.
Eric, thank you so very much.
You're most welcome. Take care.
Bye.